Today, I'm going to show you the 5 absolute best rear delt exercises. Check it out. Now, before we actually begin this, I want to explain why it's so important to have a very strong posterior head. Most often on guys, their anterior head, the front head of the delt, is far superior than the posterior head. What this causes is some internal rotation, and it's also putting you in a huge position to get injured because of the imbalance of strength on one side. Most commonly, this is going to cause a rotator cuff injury. Now, the posterior head is a muscle group that's going to respond to high volume. So every exercise that I explained to you guys here, you're going to want to stick within a rep range of at least 12 to 20 repetitions. Anywhere in there, and you're going to be good. So we're going to get started with the first exercise. All you need for this is a nice rubber band. So how you perform the exercise is simple. You grab the band about shoulder width apart, and you lift it about parallel to the ground. So what we're doing here is with this pronated grip, or with our palms facing down, we're going to be pulling the band apart and bringing it towards our chest. Bringing it in closer and focusing on squeezing with the scapula and using the posterior head of our delt to get that nice extension of the band. Now, if your band isn't providing you with enough intensity, all you need to do is simply grab a little bit closer to get a little bit more tension on each repetition with the band. Now, what our goal is here is to extend the band as far out as we can to the point where it touches your chest. As you can probably see right about there. So again, as I mentioned, for any exercise that's going to be targeting the posterior head of the delt, you're going to want to be getting about 12 to 20 repetitions. Okay, next exercise we've got here is the incline dumbbell row. Now, how you perform this is pretty simple. I like to just put my chin on the edge just to lock my body in, and we're bringing those elbows out nice and wide there, making sure to get a squeeze at the top there for about a second or two. And this is just gonna help us target that rear head of the delt a little bit better. Now, when we're performing this, every time that I'm bringing my elbows up here, I'm ensuring that I'm keeping a nice 90-degree angle from here. We don't want the elbows down here because what that's gonna do is it's gonna engage a lot of your lats and a lot of your rhomboids, which is great. But this exercise is specifically focused on the rear delt. So make sure that on each repetition, you're keeping those elbows out nice and wide, and you're keeping that 90-degree angle from your arm to your torso. Next, we've got the bent over dumbbell fly. Make sure you're going light on this one because this is an exercise that's gonna need a lot less weight. Now, how you perform the exercise is pretty simple. You're gonna put a bench here and we're gonna rest our head up against it, our forehead. You're gonna grab the dumbbells, keeping an overhand grip. I don't want neutral, I want an overhand grip. This is gonna help you target that rear head of the delt. And all we're doing here is flying the weight up by retracting your scapula here, maintaining that grip, and also keeping a nice soft bend of the arms. My arm isn't completely straight here. It's got a slight bend. As soon as it's straight there, I'm gonna be more inclined to engage with my triceps to help me lift that weight. We wanna focus on that posterior head. So make sure you get that nice soft bend, retracting with the scapula, and holding for a second at the top to get the most activation out of the rear or posterior head of your delt. Next, we've got my absolute favorite, the standing reverse cable fly. Now, how you perform this one, it's gonna be a little bit difficult the first time you try it, so try and pay attention here. How you start, you're gonna grab overhand, you're gonna start with the right side, grabbing the base of the cable, then you're gonna cross over with the other arm, grab the cable, remember, hands down, palms down, and this is gonna be our starting position right here. Making sure that our arms are just out in front of us, and we've got the pulley system raised just a little bit higher than our shoulder level. So with our arms out in front of us, we're gonna begin by retracting our scapula here, extending the cables, holding for a second or two, and bringing them back in. Maintaining a nice soft bend in the elbows, they're never completely straight locked out, and you're gonna get a terrific burn of the rear head of the deltoid. This one's probably my absolute favorite for rear delt demolition. Final exercise is a classic and one of my favorites. We've got the band pull apart. Okay, to perform this exercise, you can use a band and you're gonna hook it up onto something that's stable enough for you to not be able to pull over. I like to set it up just about head level, so it's a little bit higher than my shoulders. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna begin with an overhand grip. You're gonna maintain that the whole time. We're gonna pull towards ourselves, but we're not just pulling towards our head, we're also pulling apart when we get to this point here, which is really gonna allow us to target the posterior head. Not only are we gonna do that, but we're gonna get a nice 2 to 3 second hold here to fully obliterate the posterior head of the deltoids. So there you guys go. 5 of my favorite and probably the absolute best exercise for hitting that posterior head of the delt. Remember, the importance can't be overstated enough. Most often, we've got an overdeveloped anterior head, causes internal rotation. By strengthening this, we'll be able to return the joint to its original position and thus create a symmetrical balance of strength on both sides of the shoulder joint. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to give it a like down below, and also be sure to subscribe for weekly workout tips and nutrition tips that you won't want to miss. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.